everyone. Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at Sundance 2025, brought to you by Rendezvous Capital. We are here in support of indie cinema, of course, as always, but we are also here in support of LA Wildfire Relief Live. That organization supports those that are doing what they can right now to help those impacted by the wildfires. If you are able to donate, please head on over to lawildfirerelief.live and donate right there. Thank you in advance for your support. Now, I am lucky enough to be sitting with the team behind By Design. This movie is something else. I've never seen anything quite like it, and I love saying that at film festivals and beyond. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So clearly, I know what your movie's about because it is a film festival debut. Our audience will first learn about it here via Sundance. So Amanda, would you mind doing the honors of giving everyone a brief synopsis?
Yes, a woman goes shopping with her two friends for some furniture. She sees a beautiful chair. She lusts after it and wants to buy it. And instead, in a magical moment of body swap, Fantasia becomes the chair that she so lusted after. The chair is then sold to a woman who bequeaths it to her ex-boyfriend, and he goes on his own journey of love and romance with the chair.
Great description, but nobody knows until they experience it for themselves. So I love asking this question in general, but in particular when it's about a movie that has such an interesting high concept. Can you tell me what idea number one was, the thing that started this all? But then also if you had a break story moment, something that made the idea feel like whole and it was ready to be made into a feature film.
Yes, I mean, I like in conversation when you say something that you think is a joke or a lark, a funny anecdote, to be amusing when you really see in someone else's face that it is truly sparking more conversation. And I pitch ideas all the time to people, and I say to someone who's cutting my hair, wouldn't you want to be a chair instead of a human, stuff like that. And if they're like, oh yes, I would love to be a lampshade, I think, okay, we're on to something. So, I think about envy all the time. I like to write about envy. I like to write about jealousy and, misconnections and connections between people. Ideas always start from themes that I want to discuss. And then just in conversation with people and just in back and forth and seeing what keeps our conversation going. That's how I know all the time that it's time to go into story and continue from there.
I feel like the movie successfully made me think of certain things that you just referenced, and I'm going to bring that up later in the conversation. But first, to dig into the development of this, I've never seen a movie quite like this, and it really does turn the whole body swap idea on its head in a really big way. Can you maybe tell me something that you saw in a past body swap movie that you appreciated and embraced, but then also something that you thought you could do like never before by making the body swap happen with an object?
Okay, I love the original Freaky Friday. And there's a moment when they swap bodies. Well, Jodie Foster is, I don't even know what to say about Jodie Foster. In that movie in particular with the braces is incredible. But there's a moment where they swap and they say, I wish I could be her for one day. And their faces go like a 60s, 70s color transfer over one another. It's like a bad animation. It's beautiful. In my dreams, I'm able to make something like that, like this derpy sort of color transfer. So that was something that we thought about as Juliette was transforming, like, could we get a kind of trail or could we give an homage to that?
It's cool that you do, but you also put your own unique spin on it with the dance elements. I like that.
Yes, thank you. Also, you can't approximate that Technicolor. So why try? You gotta live in your own era, even though you think backwards, you also have to think forwards. But then there's a body swap movie called the Change Up or something. The Switch Up, the Switch Change, something. I know Jason Bateman's in it. And when they go to change bodies, they piss in a fountain, and the fountain is magical. And just by peeing in the fountain, I love the looks on everyone's faces. This went straight to the top in Hollywood, you guys, and it was greenlit immediately. So I see the looks on your faces, but it's real and it's out there. They pee in a fountain together, and as the urine splashes into the fountain, they swap bodies. I want you to know that nothing happens. There aren't cool lights. There's no wind, there's no sound effect, there's no sound. It's just over. What a missed opportunity. They should pee in the fountain and the fountain should like explode with urine or something. I don't know. Something, anything.
Dancers. Anything but.
Anyway, so I wouldn't do that.
Now we know what I'm going to be Googling. I have to look at movie. I like, do vaguely remember. It feels fairly recent too.
Isn't it the 80s?
No,
late 80s?
no.
Oh,
It was-
90s.
It was definitely in like the last 10 years.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Gotcha.
We might want to piss in a fountain later.
Well,
before-
I don't understand. It's a very like dumb. It's like a very like dumb thing to get them into. But as a funny idea, they at least could have been. Give me some zhuzh.
You would think. Yeah, missed
Yeah.
opportunities. The
Missed
perfect way to
opportunity.
describe that.
Yeah. Give me some
Miranda, I
zhuzh.
want to jump down the line to you because I've seen a lot of like really bold, ambitious movies that you've produced over the years. You are a producer on this as well. I got a big two-part question for you about that. What is something that gives you faith that this is still an industry that will get behind wildly unique ideas? But then can you also maybe isolate something about this movie that, you know, was especially challenging to get people to get behind?
It was not challenging to get anyone behind this movie because the script was truly original and incredible. And Amanda's other movies show what a unique vision that she has. And I'll kind of lead that into the last question that you know, with that. When I read the script, I was given it by Lauren Mann, who was a producer with me on Swiss Army Man we had here. And when I heard Juliette Lewis would be the lead, 15 pages in, I said, I have to produce this. It's too difficult for people who want just easy. And this will be Juliette Lewis's Daniel Radcliffe moment. And I want that to happen, right? And that's how I came on and said yes to it. And what was the first question?
Just what gives you faith that this is still a business that will support wildly unique ideas?
Well, I'm here, and I think that wildly unique ideas are actually what everyone wants, as long as they don't preach and they make you think.
For what it's worth, that is what I want. I have many follow-up questions. I want to throw this one to the entire cast. I know, Miranda, you just emphasized that this was a really great script, and I'm sure that is what sold you on this opportunity and these roles. But, you know, once you, like, let's say, signed on the dotted line, I guess, what were some of your very first big burning questions for Amanda in terms of how you would actually make this movie happen?
All right. I really don't. When I trusted her, so I didn't really care. You know, I was like, I believe in the script. I believe in you. I've seen her movies. And when we spoke about film and just life in general, I just liked her a lot. And it was that's really enough for me. A good script, good vibes, good part. Yeah, I'm doing it. It's honestly.
Solid bullet point list you got there. I like it.
She was really forthcoming with me about tone. We talked about tone, and she sent me clips of some classic movies from the 80s and the 90s, like Passion Fish. And we talked about Metropolitan, Whit Stillman's movies, Adam McGuigan's movies, and the sort of simplicity and economy and subtlety of those performances, and that was really important tonally for this movie. And so that was super informative for me.
I got sent the same clips, and they were all movies that I'd loved to begin with, and it was so nice to revisit. Hal Hartley was in there too, who's just such an iconic American independent filmmaker. And like, these are the movies I love. Like, I am a disciple of independent film. I see these movies in the theater. I support them. I love them. And I just feel so honored to be a part of a movie that's so bold and original. Like, Amanda is a visionary, and she just put together a team of people. Everybody was an artist. in every department, and everybody, it was such a good feeling when we ended, the applause and the tears, and there was so much joy. And I thought, like, this is what filmmaking is supposed to be about. This is what it's supposed to feel like. It's not supposed to feel like a corporate exchange and somebody, you know, Jeff Bezos is selling more of something, or you're holding something and that you're this product, but it's available, Jeff.
We said no preach, but preach, Robin, preach, do it, Robin, do it.
No, I feel like everything has become so transactional in Hollywood. And like, if you're gonna go and make a movie like this to come to Sundance. And it's like the brass ring, and thank God it exists, because it isn't a movie for everybody, but it's somebody's favorite movie. And it's a lot of people are gonna walk in and have an experience that they've never had before, and nobody's peeing in a fountain. And it's not derivative. Everybody in Hollywood wants to make the same thing. It's a sequel, it's a reboot, and to have an original thought, and like purely with all these great actors. I mean, Juliette Lewis belongs on the big screen. I want to see her on the big screen, and this is what movies are about.
Very well said.
Thank you, Robin.
No, I will say, when I read the script, I feel like it is a script that can resonate with absolutely everyone. There's every single person at some point in their life has felt like they're sitting with a group of people and they feel like they're not being heard, they're not being listened to. They might as well be the inanimate.
What was that?
They're exactly. They might as well be this chair. But then, to me, just imagining how it would ever be possible to make a script that like unique and that actually come to life. I couldn't believe that it would actually be possible, the whole body swap, all of that. So it takes a true artist to be able to make it believable, make it resonate with everyone, and like make it flow. So it takes a whole group of artists, and you nailed it.
One of my favorite reactions to a movie is seeing it and being like how does that exist? That's the coolest thing. Juliette, anything for you on this question? Burning questions at the beginning?
It's interesting to echo some of the sentiments here, is that we just come out of this huge renaissance with all the streaming and the endless inventive TVs and the smashed up genres and the more plot. I came from a lot of plot and telling the audience where it's going and all this. So when I saw this idea, it was like a leap off a cliff, and also simplified to what pulls you emotionally. And for me, it was all heart. When the concept or the log line is the log line, but when you open the script, it's some of the narration was pure poetry to me. And having grown up as an avid people watcher, because that was my acting class. I don't come from acting academics, and so I always wanted to disappear into people to find myself, or to find true empathy, or fully becoming alive. And so there's a part of my character that seems to be vapid or nullified, but it's because her passion's not been ignited. And so it was really, she was this stifled, passionate soul up until the end of the movie, when she wants to be into the stratosphere of a city or something. I related to all these dazzling concepts. So for me, it was a very emotional, visceral response to the material.
I have so many follow-up questions. I hope I can remember them all. Amanda, I wanted to ask you this, because we have a whole bunch of like wildly diverse artists at the table right here. But when you're casting a film like this, do you have to see like any kind of shared quality in all of them that signals to you like they would be game for something like this and a good creative partner for you?
Yeah, I mean, I have never held an audition ever for a single movie. And I don't ever take tapes, because tapes humiliate me. I can't watch them. I feel the energy. I feel just, it's, yeah, I was just gonna say that. I feel it. It makes me empathetic. So obviously I'm sitting at a table with, like, not to be crass and not to big time you all, but these are offer only actors. And you give them the script and you ask them to play the part. You don't ask them to read anyway. So I was in a good position just to to think about the people that I would want. I met Juliette and Mamoudou both experiences for coffee and conversation, and I knew within 12 minutes, beyond them being actors that I love, that I wanted to work with them on this film. And it was very easy for me to envision them. Once they are cast, I can start to think about how to cast around them. You know, Mamoudou leads his half of the film, and I can cast it to what I think would be the sensibility of that character as seen through Mamoudou, and the same for Juliette. In casting Samantha and Robin, it's just like, first, you know, of course, who seems believable as two women that Juliette would spend her time with, but also just who do I trust to know tonally how to play the character acting support that you actually need wit and intelligence for. Because if you go in and you play one note, it's not that funny or interesting. And I did not know that either of them were as hilarious. That was a total surprise to me. I thought I was going to get that dry wit only, but they ride the whole thing. So it just started to feel like dominoes falling when you're casting and you're like, this person works, this person, this person, this person. And by the time you're casting people who only have one scene, one moment, including Madison, you're just looking at faces and voices, and you start to just think like, who has the energy? And when you build a fantasy, who fits into the fantasy? And I'm like a face person. I want a memorable face and a memorable voice. So I never have a prerequisite for really anything else. Just, will I remember you on screen? Will you cast a shadow over the film? That's what I want. I actually want everyone to chew the scenery. I want everyone to be a scene stealer.
I see that quality in the finish. Like, as you were explaining that, I'm running through like the roster of people in addition to the folks sitting at this table who have burrowed their way into my brain.
Our supporting cast who are not here, they're all wonderful.
Yeah. I cannot overemphasize
Betty
that.
and Clifton and Elisa are our second tier of supporting cast. They're incredible. And then we have like some day playing people that I thought came and just...
And Udo is amazing.
And Udo.
I was happy to see Ruby in the movie too. I've been a big fan of hers for a while.
Yes.
I think she's got boundless potential.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
She came. She's here. Everyone
Good stuff.
Came. Yeah.
There's a lot of bottoms actors here, and that makes me very happy because I also love that movie.
I love Bottoms.
So good. So I can't stop watching that movie. Juliette, to dig into your performance now, I kind of like don't love this phrasing, but I'm borrowing it from another interview you did about doing a performance where part of the performance demands that like you do nothing. Like you're doing something, but I know what you mean by doing nothing. What would you say surprised you most about what is challenging about doing nothing?
So this was extra doing nothing. And that's to say it became spiritual to me. I'll explain why. Well, you explained it too when the whole thing about your editors finding the things. Yeah. You would literally explain what I was hoping to achieve, and you guys found the moments. Anyway, it's a concentrated nothingness. We need a new word, but it's concentrated energy that the stillness is so focused that even stasis, when I'm listening, I don't want to be reacting as a person that's animated. So how is there subtle reaction that she's still there, but she's also elsewhere? It was a whole thing. And then the editing is beautiful because that always helps a performance. You can make or break a performance by your edit.
Absolutely can.
I've had both happen. So
the heartbreak
yes.
when it's bad.
You're like, why'd you use that snippet? But
And we were lucky enough on a budget, this tight to have Amanda's editor there every
His name is
day.
Ben.
Yeah. And he was
wonderful. On set.
Yeah, he was on set.
that was amazing. I'd never
vital.
seen that where the editor, DP, and her, they were like this.
Team work.
Will it work?
Fully.
Should always be like that. I don't know how much you two thought about this, but what was it like figuring out what she would look like after
The shapes,
after
or sorry.
after the transfer happens when technically she's not in there anymore, just so it was something like you could sustain visually throughout the film, but it also like it also said like, I am the chair, I guess.
All of that we talked. It was like eyes open or eyes closed. We didn't want eyes closed. She would be asleep looking. Then there was the deconstruction when our two best friends are having wine and they propped her up at the table. Would the eyes be straight out? Would I be thin? So we'd have to find even stuff within that played well for the scene. I also was really into, and I love that she comes from dance and choreography, because we wanted the shapes of the chair to be a slightly angular, the awkward, the better. And so everything was sort of thought about in that way.
Fear you're going to be asked this question a lot, but I really want to know the answer. What was it like picking the perfect chair for your movie?
Our production designer's name is Grace Cernow, and she looked at hundreds of chairs. And she would send me photos of chairs, and she'd send me pictures of her in the chair and on the chair, and she'd say, her, him. Ooh, not him, not her. And we were, it's like casting. And it's a tough job for her because she has to do what I'm doing here with these people. She needs to find the perfect chair to be in our world. And Camille is not upholstered. And we just knew that, right? Yeah. And Camille is not too avant-garde. That doesn't quite make sense either, So it's like from a process of elimination, you're also thinking about the strong and bold things that Juliette Lewis is. So you want something that is elegant, but you also want something that stands out in its elegance. And you want something that feels sturdy, but you also want something that feels like, to me, frankly, like it is curved and feminine. Like you need the hardness and the feminine. And when we found the chair that we found, we saw it all. We saw the rounded arms, we saw the wood base, and we were like, I think this is good for Juliette. And also it meant that if we laid the chair over and Juliette laid over too, she could make the shapes. And it gave her kind of a scene sense memory to be like, I know what the chair looks like, and maybe I can try and get in a, Yeah.
And then Mamoudou, this chair is kind of your scene partner in a number of scenes here. I guess, what is it like working with a scene partner that's an object, especially because it feels like a very challenging thing to me to convey that, like, you don't just like this chair. It's this like indescribable draw and connection to it that, like, me as an outsider watching this needs to feel. So like, where do you find that in yourself?
Well, it didn't, for some reason, it didn't seem so bizarre to me. I want to be more interesting, but it was really just as simple as like, this is the object of my desire, and all of this character's longing and desperation is now focused on something that might not make sense to anyone else. But, and also when I first saw the chair, I was like, this is the chair? But then, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, this is the one? All right, cool. I was like, what? But then, what else could it be? But then when you take the time, you touch it, you move around it, you think about it in the way that the script suggests, demands. You just commit to it, and then it's as simple as that. I swear, it's with a good script, you really don't have to worry about much. You just have to commit to the bit.
Good script and good people around you.
That's
I
right.
get it. Yeah. Samantha and Robin, I'll ask you a scene partner question as well, because for much of the movie, you are opposite Juliette, again, doing nothing in quotes. How does it change the scene partner relationship for you when, like, again, I don't want to phrase it like you're not getting nothing back, but it completely changes the dynamic between two actors?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks to how oblivious these two women are. They're so self-involved in their own experience that they're oblivious to what's happening with Camille. It speaks to who they are.
Like, everything about them is about like projection, and I think that the idea that like they have no idea how to connect and it doesn't matter, they just want to be heard. And they can't listen.
They want to hear the sound of their own voices.
They can't listen.
Yeah.
That comes through quite strongly. There was also this like weird line though, where like, but they still love her.
They do.
As
They do
self-involved
love
as they
her.
are, like, we really love her.
I was very impressed by how I felt that. Like, I mean, especially towards the end, I did believe in their friendship, and I think that's an important quality of the movie.
It was harder for me to not react to the brilliance I was getting from each of them, totally different. Anyway, it was amazing.
There is a moment where they're getting increasingly drunk. There's a montage where they're getting increasingly drunk on wine, and we moved Juliette out of the shot, and they have to speak to the camera lens, and they're saying to her, "We love you. We love you." And it's like you feel like they do mean it. She is their third partner. She is their best friend. It's just that they treat her the same when she does nothing as when she does something. When she is there, she is also not there. And when she is not there, she also is there to them. But that does not mean that they don't care for her.
It's true.
And that comes
We
across
show
their
up in the
performance.
end.
I was gonna say,
we do. They show
I
up
think
in the
I
end
think
and they
the
love
characters
her.
the friends really evolve.
Yeah.
Each as a unit really, and at the end they're so protective of her, but also it's so you feel their heartbreak for their friend. So for the first time, they are thinking outside of their own life. And I felt that beauty on the big screen when I saw it here instead of a computer, and it really makes you happy when each character can have a beginning and a middle and an end. And that was so beautifully directed. It's not easy to do that.
No, I think I have to wind down with you all soon. I can't believe I'm going to ask this question, but it is something that your movie made me think about. So now I want to know your answers. If you each had the opportunity to body swap with an object, what object would you choose and why?
I love this game, actually.
I will go first. Okay. Lipstick. There's something really sensual and sexy about lipstick, and the right one, and it can always be with you, and you pull it out and you screw it up and you slide it across your lips. And it really changes a face.
I'd want to be my daughter's lovey. She has a lovey, like a comfort thing. I'd be her lovey.
I was going to say blanket too. I love the idea of being just like a luscious, warm blanket that envelops someone and makes them warm and cozy.
That's a good one.
a really fast old car.
That's cool.
The kind they drove off the mountain in Thelma and Louise,
cool.
bingo.
That's cool. What about you, Mamoudou?
Yeah, this is a short leash.
Thank you. A good book. You know, a good book. I'm a little too close to the mic.
Check one, two.
A good book goes a long way, even if it gets beat up a little bit. It can change someone's life. Many have changed mine, and educated me, and changed my viewpoint. So
The thesaurus really helped
That's
you.
powerful. That's really powerful.
I'm just going to go with the instincts in this conversation because I hadn't thought of it until now. Was when I first fell in love with an object was my blue. It was a royal blue lawn chair. Gets a lot of sun. Looks good by the pool. Okay. I don't know. I like this. Yeah, a royal blue lawn chair. I'm going with this one. Okay.
The role was meant for you.
I'm probably going to go with I think I have the vainest answer. Unfortunately, I would love to be a beautiful piece of art. Yeah. I would love actually to be a Picasso and just be slipping and sliding. My face just looks like shit. My nose is by my ear, my eyes, and it doesn't fucking matter.
And everybody says you're beautiful.
People come from all around the world to look at me and stare at me and think I'm beautiful. And I'm crooked, and it doesn't matter. I'm a mess, and I'm still beautiful to everyone. And I would really like to be a Picasso.
That's such a good answer.
I love those answers. I want to be my hummingbird feeder. Yeah. I've gotten in the habit of feeding them out of my hand, but I can't get myself to stay still long enough to make that easy. But if I was just the feeder, they would come to me all the time.
It's so nice to be in a movie that sparks conversation like this. I hope people see the movie and go out together afterwards and have this conversation.
All right, I gotta let you go. Mamoudou, I got one unrelated question for you though. It's about the drama, the upcoming movie from Kristoffer that you're in, because like many out there, I was just like utterly fascinated by Dream Scenario. And when news of that movie broke, I think the only genre they put it in was they called it a romance movie. But I feel like his mind doesn't get boxed into one genre. So how does it bleed beyond that?
So
Or can you
talking about?
tease?
You think I'm gonna blow it up right now? You're bugging. They're gonna cut me out of the movie.
happens. This.
It is. It's incredibly interesting. Beautiful cast. I'm very curious how it's received.
Yes.
Honestly, that piques my interest more than anything.
Yeah,
so I'll
wait to
take
see.
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say huge congratulations by
Thank you.
on
Thank you.
by design.
Thank
I
you.
cannot wait to keep having this conversation with people.